Hello everyone, you are listening to the Video Gabecast. I am your host, Gabriel Hazim. This is episode 5. Joining me is ENSIGNPA.
What's up?
And this is a special Game of the Year podcast, and I probably will be doing more of these with various people that I do podcasts with, but because we all have different schedules, I kind of just record the podcast when I can. So, this is my top 10 and Ensign's top.
Probably delete that out.
Yeah, it's fine. Top 4. So, yeah. So what I'll do is I'll count down from 10 to 4, and then we'll kind of go back and forth.
Cool. Well, it's a quasi top 5, top 4 list for 2013 because my list is kind of all over the place as far as years go.
Yeah, mine was, I actually made this list, and then I thought of the games and kind of hacked it down from 13 down to 10, and then putting them in order was hard because you move one, and then you got to move them all, which gets annoying.
Yep.
But starting at number 10 is a game I liked a lot. Shockingly, an iOS game. It is Ridiculous Fishing. I love the music. I love the art in the game. Basically, the point of the game is you throw the line into the water, and you actually, on the way down, have to avoid the fish, which sounds like the opposite of really fishing.
Is it like a side view scroller kind of thing, or?
No, it's you hold your phone vertically, and the line is dropping straight down into the water.
Yeah.
So it just keeps plummeting, and you tilt your phone to guide where the line is going, and you actually have to dodge the fish. And what'll happen is, eventually you will hit a fish, whether you like it or not, and that's when you try to grab as many fish as you can on the way up. And there's certain fish you need to avoid, because they'll cost you.
Cool.
And then, the game gets crazier. When you get to the surface, you throw them up into the air, and you shoot them with your guns.
Really?
And if you shoot them with something, see, there's this weird line you gotta walk where it's like you hit them hard enough and they'll pop up higher, and if you keep shooting them as they go up in the air without destroying them, you'll actually send them into orbit. And,
cool.
And it has a meter. It shows you how high they're going in feet, I think. So it's really awesome. Take that, NASA.
Cool. So it's like a fishing version of a duck hunt game.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool.
And there's a skill tree. Well, not really skill tree, but all the stuff you can unlock. There's one where you can take an extra hit. So you fuck up once and it's not the end of the world. There's one where on your way up you can touch the screen and your line will actually go up slower, so you can grab more fish and kind of be more accurate. There's all sorts of really cool upgrades, so it's highly addicting. But like a lot of iOS games, once you get tired of it, you're kind of really tired of it.
Yeah, that's the problem with iOS games or anything that's on a phone. I usually get tired of them pretty quick.
Well, most of them are not good.
Well, I mean, if you're in an airport, you can always just look at your phone and play those games until you fall asleep or just get pissed off. Which is usually my case. I get frustrated whenever I play those games for too long. But they're pretty good as far as wasting time.
I would like to see the day where there's like a handheld. And Nintendo needs to make a phone, but I know they won't.
Holographic gaming on a phone.
Yes. Well, I mean, 3DS is holographic, so they've already gotten that done.
Yeah.
And there are 3D phones out there. It's just
you come out with the fucking holodeck already.
Yes. Well, I mean, 3DS was quite a leap when they announced that thing, and everyone's like, it's not gonna do it. And then people went to E3 or whatever expo it happened to be, and everyone's like, holy damn! And now, I don't think anyone really cares that it's in 3D anymore, so we've gone full circle.
Yep.
But yeah, anyway, Ridiculous Fishing is really good. It's affordable I got it on iOS. I don't know about Android. So anyway, number 9 is a game that Giant Bomb was talking shit about on their Game of the Year awards. It is God Mode. I really like God Mode. And I don't care if it's kind of janky and not top-tier quality.
Huh.
It's kind of like third-person Killing Floor. So the camera's behind the character.
Okay.
And there are random mutators that come with so it's not really wave-based, you're actually running through a level, but each new area is kind of like a wave. It's just a different way of making a wave-based game, and each new area has a mutator, like low gravity, or enemies are smaller, or enemies are bigger, or they just have some really cool stuff, mutators in there. And the announcer is fucking hilarious. It's not an announcer, but it's like a narrator for the beginning of. He tells you why you've died, and basically the point of the game is to shoot your way out of hell or purgatory or whatever it is. We've heard it before.
Shoot your way out of purgatory. Okay.
Yeah. So it's probably more exciting than regular purgatory. But yeah, I really like God Mode. I played it a lot more than most of the games on this list because it's 4-player multiplayer. So.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't think I've heard of that game yet, but it seems like a pretty cool game to play. Not usually one that goes for like third-person shooters, but there's a few of them out there that are pretty good.
I like these affordable wave-based multiplayer things because, you play a lot of games and the level design is so bad that, like, for example, I love the Gears of War games, but I kind of only need Horde mode, even though I've beaten them all.
Yeah, Horde mode's pretty good on Gears of War.
I think the design in Horde mode is better than the design in the single player.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of just a warehouse. Everything's a giant warehouse outside. Giant containers and chest-high walls.
Yeah.
Probably the best thing about the Xbox 360, though, as far as I'm concerned.
I don't know. Grand Theft Auto 5 right now is a pretty good game.
Well, that's multi-platform. So,
okay. Yeah.
The Grand Theft Auto 5 will be something we will talk about.
That's its own podcast.
Yeah, well, it's going to have its place in this podcast, too. Yeah, we should have Grand Theft Auto 5 podcast. Anyway, moving on to number 7, is Call of Juarez Gunslinger, which is awesome.
Wasn't that based off of, or wasn't the Rockstar game, what's it called? I can't remember. Red Dead Redemption. Yeah, wasn't that game based off of the game that you just mentioned right now?
No, they're in no way related. They're both Western games, but they're not.
Okay. Maybe I'm associating the name with both of them.
The gameplay in Red Dead is very different from the gameplay in Call of Juarez Gunslinger. It's just Call of Juarez Gunslinger is sort of a linear first-person shooter, but the shooting and the style and the art and the music and the narrator, it's all so fantastic that it kind of helps you ignore how linear the whole game is.
Right.
Because I thought it was a blast. I think my only complaint about this game is the same complaint I have about every game, where it feels like you unlock the very last upgrade on the skill tree towards the end of the game, so it's like kind of get shit piecemealed to you a little slower than you'd like. But I still thought it was fantastic. That when an enemy dies, they kind of fall almost in slow motion, and the final blood trail that comes out of them sort of just kind of hangs there, so it's almost like a freeze frame of them.
Cool.
It's hard to explain. So on the Gabecast, the Cheap Ass Gamer podcast, GPD was basically saying, if you can get the shooting and the moment when the character dies right, then it just makes the game a whole lot better. And it sounded morbid until I played the game, and it's like, yeah, I think he's right. Even though it makes it sound like a monster. But that game is great, and it's $15, and everything else they've made, in my opinion, was utter dog shit. So to get this was a surprise.
Cool.
So if you're looking for something cheap, go for that. Going to number 7, I had to count down there. DMC Devil May Cry. When the trailers for this game first came out, I said, what have they done? What have these British assholes done to Dante with his emo hair and this spray paint close to the wall box art? This is horrible. This is not 1980. I'm gonna go hang myself. I was so angry, and then I realized that I was too much of a fanboy to not play it. And turns out this game's really good, even though he has black hair.
Yeah. I'm not too familiar with the series, so do you want to go ahead and explain how what the mechanics are for the game, how the gameplay is like?
Well, it's a third person character action game. I hate that phrase because it's such a generic. When I first heard character action game, I said, "Isn't that every action game? Don't they all include a character?" But yeah, it's like Ninja Gaiden or something like that. Where the difference is Ninja Gaiden, you have to be more decisive, and you don't have to hit an enemy quite as many times, so it's more about choosing your shots. This game, it's more about style and popping the enemies into the air and continuing your combo out. It's a Japanese game.
Well, that's where the emo comes in, the whole Japanese thing.
Yeah, but I don't think. I think this was made with by Brits, and so you look at, actually, old Devil May Cry might look even little less Japanese than this game. Which is kind of funny. But yeah, it's the story. I kind of like the story, but the dialogue, and the characters are all so bad that it really hampers the game. I think they really need to aim at a more older audience because it just feels like a bad anime.
I see.
Yeah. Some of the shit they say in this game, literally, there's fuck you, no, fuck you, literally one of the lines out of the game, and I'm like, oh my god, was this written by a 12-year-old? But the ending's really good. There's something, there's something about Dante that I hated, that changes at the very end of the game, and I don't really want to go into detail, but, it's okay. I am okay with, I think Ninja Theory made this game. I'm okay with them making another, and I'm actually eagerly awaiting them making another. I bought this game so that I could get the, I think it's called Bloody Palace mode, which is just basically a wave-based, it's Devil May Cry, but it's wave-based, so you just kill the enemies and it keeps getting harder and harder. Like Horde mode, single-player Horde mode.
I was just thinking that, yeah.
Yeah. And I never did play it because I've been buried in games. But I beat the game, and I thought it was great, and the soundtrack is fantastic. Got some Combi Christ in there, and a bunch of other, I don't know. I think it's like a compilation of different groups, mostly Combi Christ. It's fantastic. The voice acting is pretty good. It's just written poorly. So.
Any multiplayer features in the game?
No, it is focusing mainly on single player. Okay. I'd be interested to see what they could do with multiplayer, but I'm scared to see them mess it all up. Yeah. So,
well, I mean, if you like it, then it must have a really good storyline as far as single player.
I think the story is all right. I liked the ideas and the concepts. The general idea of the story is good. It's just, like I said, it's really hampered by bad dialogue, and it just feels really juvenile. And you'll get it if you ever play it. You'll understand.
Right.
So yeah, keep an eye on Steam sales. If you see that, I recommend it. It's really good. The controls are kind of difficult to get a hold of because there's so many weapons that you can cycle through, and it's not bad control, but it's really advanced. So, and it's hard to remember. So you step away from that game for a month and you come back and it's like, uh-oh.
I feel like games like that are more suited to, like a
Japanese people,
or maybe even like a controller enabled.
Oh, of course.
On PC. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, saying control-enabled game on PC nowadays is kind of like saying, it's kind of stating the obvious because so many games are just like, yeah, plug in the Xbox 360 controller. In fact, some games will be like that, like, yo, don't you be fucking around with no mouse and keyboard here. Get that controller because you won't be able to play. Like, no disrespect to McChubbers, but when he was upset that his experience was hampered, his Rogue Legacy experience was hampered with the mouse and keyboard, I'm like, the console and PC lines are blurred now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, starting off with the tutorial, the controls on the PC or on the keyboard were kind of different than many other games, so it was a little hard to get used to it at first. But I guess the learning curve, if you have enough patience on like a game like Rogue Legacy, then it's fine.
God, I love my Rogue Legacy.
I'm not that into it as much as you are, but I mean, it is a cool game.
It's kind of a game that gets more and more fun the more you play it, the more stuff you unlock, the more loot you acquire. It's a very slimmed down roguelike, so there's not a lot of gear, but once I got that full vampire suit, I was like, holy damn, this game, I can't. And every time I'm playing, like I was playing other Game of the Year stuff, and as I'm playing it, I'm just, something in the back of my head is like, you could be playing Rogue Legacy right now. What are you doing? I'm like, stop, must beat this game. So.
Or when you're at work, of course.
Yeah, well, at work, being held down and stabbed is more enjoyable than working. So, anything that enters my mind is like, you could be doing this. Although drinking is what enters my mind when I work. So, I think about partying and shit when I'm working.
Well, there'll be times that I'm in class and I'm just fantasizing about like, oh, you know what? I could be totally making like this weird contraption in Gary's mod.
Oh, yeah.
Like I draw it out in my notes and was like, oh wait, I should really be paying attention to this chemistry lecture.
I went into class real drunk once. And luckily
I used to do that. I don't do it anymore because
you start failing.
I'm an engineering major, so I shouldn't do that. But it was fun doing it at first. My first year at college, I used to take one of those Spanish canteens full of wine. I'd drink it in the middle of class,
and no one noticed that you reeked like booze.
Well, people would notice I'd be going to the bathroom more than more than 4 times during a lecture. So
there had to be at least one student in that class that knew what was up.
I'm sure there was, but it didn't stop me. It was fun.
Yeah, I did that once, and I said, I don't function well when I'm drinking. Like, I kind of just sit back, and I am enjoying the buzz so much that I can't really do much anything else.
For some reason, I picture, like, you acting like Chris Farley when he's drunk or something.
Yes, every time I have a revelation in class, it's the sound I make.
Exactly.
Anyway, totally threw me off. Moving.
6, I think, yeah.
Yes. I had to count. I had to count again. I should have numbered these. Number 6, something we already talked about. GTA 5. So many people are like, hey, Gabe, why the fuck is this high on your list? And I'm like, because the mission structure is bad. But the game's still pretty good. I love the California that they've made. How most of it is made off real California.
Los Angeles, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, people are like posting on Facebook for restaurants and stuff like, hey, you're in Grand Theft Auto 5, and posting it on their Facebook.
Well, I had the unfortunate experience of being on a Greyhound bus for 4 days after New Year's.
Ooh.
And I passed through Los Angeles, and like a lot of places along the, I think it was the I-5, from Los Angeles all the way to like San Bernardino. A lot of places along that route reminded me of Grand Theft Auto 5. I was like, oh, I could totally be in a car chase right now. Police chasing after me. The mountains on the right and like the ocean on the left side. It was really, really like, yeah, they did a pretty good job of basing the game off of different parts of Los Angeles and like the local area.
And for a console game, looks damn good.
Yeah, definitely. It's pretty good graphics.
I've been playing it on PS3 just because all those trailers and stuff were like PS3 gameplay, and I was like, hey, I actually have a PS3. I forgot about that. I should play it for once before.
Well, and the part of the game that really sticks out to me it's just the subtle part of the game, but it's kind of like, wow, the developers of this game kind of put a lot of effort into this game. It's just the fact that you can get eaten by sharks.
Yeah, it's just this enormous map that's just covered in detail.
Yeah.
A lot of games do that big map thing, and you can tell that they were not, that it's not a focused effort. It's just, we'll make a big map and then focus on these few areas. But not Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yep.
I like that money is not an issue in the game. I like that you can just buy practically every gun. Well, most of the guns you don't have to wait on too much. You look back at Grand Theft Auto 5 Grand Theft Auto 4, and one of my biggest gripes about that game is it's just takes forever to get guns, and you're just moving at a snail's pace. GTA 5, you're getting a lot of shit right away.
Yeah. I'm not sure if you use cheats in GTA 5, but...
I did after I beat it.
Yeah, so I used to use cheats in GTA 4, and compared to GTA 5 was... They kind of, they stepped back a little on the cheats, and so, for example, I think there's no invincibility in the game for the cheat code. I think there might be, but it's only to a limited time.
Yeah, you're right.
But the cops in GTA 5 are even harder in GTA 4.
Yeah.
Another aspect of the game that I like.
I have so many problems with Grand Theft Auto 4. That game was just I wanted to play it for the storytelling, and I actually played some of The Lost and the Damned, and I love the acting and the characters and the story. It's like better than movie quality, the writing and stuff that they do, but the game just played like shit. The control and the driving and everything was so bad, I couldn't deal with it. And it's unfortunate.
Wait, are you talking about this game, GTA 4 for PC?
Yeah, well, I think I had that problem on the console too, but I actually just played it I think it was about 6 months before 5 came out, so any patches I would have been set up with. Yeah, it just feels old and busted, and I think it felt old and busted the day it came out, and a lot of people complain about that driving.
Yep.
I hate to dog it, because I want to see that story, but I just can't bear it. I can't bear to deal with the game. But Grand Theft Auto 5 is amazing. It's a beautiful game, runs great, considering the graphics are pretty good.
Yeah. There's a seamless transition between the characters in GTA 5, between the three characters there. I think everybody's favorite character might be what's
Trevor?
his name? Trevor, yeah.
Yeah, he was a
crazy dude, but he's just fun to play.
He freaked me out sometimes, tell you what.
Yeah.
He was hilarious. No, you know who my favorite character in that game was?
What?
Lamar.
Lamar?
Lamar! Everyone knows somebody like Lamar.
Yeah.
Except for not quite that extreme. I don't know anyone that's shooting dudes.
Yep.
Anyway, I think that's it for Grand Theft Auto 5. That game is great. It's just, if the mission structure it's always, most of that game is the fun begins when you get to the mission, and games like Saints Row do a better job of packing the whole experience with action, and this game's like, you have to wait till you get there. I feel like the mission structure feels dated.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that game's great. Moving on to number 5, which is a franchise that I never gave a shit about until now, which is Tomb Raider.
Tomb Raider.
Tomb Raider is really good.
That's a game I haven't played in a long time, since the early days of the PlayStation.
Well, this game is not what you played before.
Okay.
The shooting is really good. Yeah, well, I mean, it's obviously a new game, and the old ones are, big, pointy, four-sided boobies.
Well, I mean, I gotta admit, when I was when I first started playing Tomb Raider, I did only want to play it by
For the
myself
movies.
in my room.
Yeah.
Because at the age of 12,
Yeah, why not?
little horny little boy playing that game.
I don't know if I ever really grew out of that. Well,
Alright.
grew out of the pyramid boobies, but...
Yeah, I don't think any guy that plays video games will grow out of the Tomb Raider series and how sexy she was.
Yeah, and she's still sexy in this one, but she's not, like, porny. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So she doesn't look like a bimbo-ass porn star, but she's still attractive, and she's based off some real-life model, I guess.
Angelina Jolie.
I guess. Probably not, but why not? The climbing in that game is done really well. It's not like Prince of Persia or anything. You can, when you jump towards a wall, you have to hit X to stick your it's like a hook, the hook on with a handle. You stick that like a pickaxe. You stick that into the wall, but you have to hit X to do it. And for whatever reason, it's just so satisfying. And then you can continue to press. You'll press A to leap up, and then you hit X again to stick the pushing X. For whatever reason, it's just a really tactile, good feeling. It's almost like feels like you're actually sticking the wall. The shooting is actually really well done, and it's not something you'd expect out of Tomb Raider. Those games really weren't about the shooting before. The acting is all really, really well done. The story is pretty interesting. It's kind of like Indiana Jones in a way. And in my opinion, I think this game, I don't know. In some ways, I think this game could be better than Uncharted.
Oh, I see.
I like the shooting more. That might be it. That might be the biggest thing.
Yeah, the shooting.
Yeah, well, the shooting in Uncharted is not fantastic. But they're both great games. They're both very similar. So if you want more Uncharted, just play Tomb Raider. It's really fucking violent, though. She dies in some horrible, horrible ways that kind of made me went, oh, fuck. What? Oh, it's disgusting.
Oh, man.
But yes, that is my number 5. And then we will go over to you for your number 4.
My number 4. So, I chose Gary's Mod. Gary's Mod. It's a sandbox physics game with tools and mechanics that let you create anything that you want. Ranging from simple cars to a V6 engine if you're creative enough. There's no goals in the game. It's just you just put into a level and you're free to create anything that you want. It kind of reminds me of a CAD program. For anybody that's not familiar with what CAD means, it's computer aided design. And so this kind of software is what engineers and scientists use to design objects or design components to different like cars, or they use it in the industry to design components. So it reminds me of that because you can create flying cars. You can just take a car and attach thrusters on the bottom of it, and there you go, fucking flying car. Or you can create like houses or traps or
1,000 zombies.
1,000 if you can. Yeah, there's an option in the game that lets you create a spawn point for zombies, and you can alter the rate of how many zombies are spawning from that point. So it's pretty cool.
I'm pretty sure I'd get kicked out of a lot of games.
Oh, why is that?
Because I would just create an unbearable amount of enemies to deal with.
Yeah, there's a pretty big modding community out there, and there's also creatures that are from other franchises like Halo. You can create the creatures from Halo, or you can create creatures from Star Troopers. All you have to do is just go on the workshop and download those creatures.
This is a game I've owned for years and never really played it.
So you don't have it?
No, I have it. I just haven't really touched it. It's been
okay.
sitting in my Steam list for years, and I think when I got it, it was kind of broken. So that may have been a problem, and also I didn't know anyone that gave a shit about it. So that's a game that I wouldn't mind being a backseat player on, because I'm not a big... I like enjoying what other people make more than actually making stuff myself, because maybe I'm just lazy, but I don't know.
Okay. Well, I mean, there's different modes in the game that you can play. You don't have to go into sandbox mode. You can actually play the other mode called it's multiplayer. It's prop hunt. You know, you disguise yourself as a prop, and then the other team tries to search for you and tries to searches in the house for all the things in the house and tries to search. What the hell is it going to say?
Hide and seek.
Prop hunt. Yeah, hide and seek. Kind of like a hide and seek kind of game.
It's just eliminating one more reason to go outside.
Yeah, and you're disguised as one of the objects in the house, like a piece of furniture or like a glass jar. So.
Can you kill other characters as this prop?
I don't think so. You're just hiding as one of the props, and you're letting you're just hiding until somebody finds you or time runs out. So.
That's pretty cool.
One of the things I don't like about the sandbox multiplayer aspect of the game is that sometimes when you just go into a multiplayer sandbox, people just randomly kill you. So for example, if you're multiplayer sandbox and you're building like this contraption or whatever that you want, all of a sudden somebody can kill you. And it sucks. I was building this thing and somebody just fucking killed me. You know?
Yeah, that'd be annoying.
Yeah.
Griefers, they suck.
Graphics are fine. They're based off the Half-Life series, so.
Yeah, that Steam engine, they've people keep saying, why don't they just make? I'm sorry, Source Engine. Everyone's like, why don't they just make Source 2? I'm like, they kind of already have. They've been updating it as time has gone on. So you look at games like Dear Esther that look fucking amazing that use that engine.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's my opinion of Gary's mod. I love it, and I like creating stuff in it, and it's a pretty cool game. So my other game, my number 3 on the list is Company of Heroes: Tales of Valor.
Was that a new game that came out?
I don't think so. It's
because I played it.
Game.
I think another one came out this year, but anyway, go on.
That's Company of Heroes 2. That came out last year, 2013. I haven't played it yet, but I'm assuming it's somewhat decent since.
Do you remember when you played Company of Heroes 1 and you scrolled in for the first time?
Scrolled in? What do you mean?
Back when, in the day, with Command and Conquer and stuff like that, it was all pretty low res. So if you zoomed in, it was just it looked like shit. But Company of Heroes, from what I know, was the first RTS kind of game where you would zoom in and it looked just as good. You zoomed in and you could actually see full detail. And that, for the time, for me, was like, whoa, it's actually, we're looking at real graphics here. It's not just, low-res dog shit.
Yeah, and I guess that's what I see on YouTube videos, that explain a lot of aspects of the game, but in my version of the game, I can't do that because my computer sucks.
So it would just die on you?
I have to put it on low res, but they're pretty good graphics on low res too, so I'm not complaining about that.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's Company of Heroes strategy game. It's a real-time strategy game where there's a lot of ways that you can win and lose the game. One tank can literally change the outcome of a battle. You have different types of infantry, different types of tanks, different types of support units that you can use in a very dynamic way to win the battle. But at the same time, if you use it in the wrong way, you can lose the battle. There's a lot of micromanaging in the game, unlike Command and Conquer, where you build 1,000 units and then you send them over to the base. There's a unit cap in this game. So you have to manage your resources, you have to manage the units that you're building, and you have to take care of those units, otherwise you're not going to be doing very well in the game. Especially multiplayer. Multiplayer battles can be pretty frustrating if you're not good at micromanaging. So.
I do like that there are games like Command and Conquer where it's a larger scale and you just have lots of units going on, but I also like that there are games like this where you have a small number of units and everything's a lot more focused. So a big unit is like, oh damn. Whereas in Command & Conquer you see a big unit and it's like, bah, get 50 little guys on that dude.
Yeah.
Move them over there.
Yeah. Well, in a Command & Conquer, if you bunch up 100 infantry against a tank.
You just get rolled over.
You can roll them over, or the infantry can just fire their rifles at tank, and the tank will eventually blow up.
Mm-hmm.
But in Company of Heroes, a rifle does nothing to a tank.
Yeah.
It takes armor. So you can have a shit ton of infantry, and you can infantry spam in Company of Heroes. But if you're infantry spamming a tank, it's not going to do anything for you. You have to upgrade your infantry to have either like rockets or something like that. Yeah.
I think my favorite thing to do for the short time I played the very first Company of Heroes game was putting snipers in windows. That is so damn satisfying. They fucking murder dudes.
Yeah, that's always I always have a problem with that strategy when it comes to other players. I fucking hate it.
Yep.
I'll have my my veteran like grenadiers, assault grenadiers, and they're all upgraded to like veterancy. Their veterancy's upgraded, and all of a sudden I'll have a damn sniper like snipe a few of them, and I have to retreat.
Yeah. Did you play XCOM? You were into XCOM, weren't you?
Yeah, I've been playing it lately a lot.
That could have been on your list.
Yeah, and I lost that piece of paper, so that's why I have a top 4, not a top 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Company of Heroes, what was it called?
Company of Hero Tales of Valor. It's not a 2013 game. I think it's like 2009, maybe 2010.
Okay.
Not too sure, but yeah, it's the game still makes my list, even here in 2013, 2014.
Well, it's good to see that franchise come back, because I think a lot of people, including me, were like, they're going to make another one. Looks like they're not, so...
Yeah. So, next game, number 2 on my list is, DayZ. Wait, sorry, is it number 3 or number 2?
I think we're on number 2.
Okay, number 2, whatever. So DayZ, the standalone version, it's a zombie survival game based off Armed Assault.
The mod,
and,
yeah.
Yeah, it's a mod, but right now I'm talking about the...
Yeah, it's based off the mod for Arma.
Yeah. So Armed Assault is a military combat simulator. It's one of the most authentic out there in the market. There might be more out there that I don't know about, but I know that Armed Assault is pretty decent military simulator. But so DayZ is just you add zombies to it, and you add a loot system to it, and then you got DayZ. You try to survive out there in this place called Chernaris, which is a huge island. And one of the things that I like about the game is the characters. The people that play it are very into it. You got your 2 different types of people that play the game. Your heroes and then your bandits. Heroes are people that like to help out other people. They like to help out spawners. Spawners are just people who just logged into the game and have nothing on them. They're just their clothes. And then you got your bandits who just screw around with you and try to make you do stupid shit like
Creepers.
Yeah, they try to make you do a dance, or they steal all your shit. They handcuff you. They steal your clothes. They leave you butt ass naked, and they just leave you there or something. The bandits, yeah. So I like the dynamic because if you log onto YouTube and search for YouTube videos on bandits and heroes, you'll see a lot of funny stuff out there. So. Yeah.
That game looks interesting, and it's been something I've wanted to play, but I'm buried in games.
Yeah, if you're used to games like Battlefield or Call of Duty, it might take a little while to get into it because it is a combat simulator. So the dynamics of the arcade that are found in Call of Duty are not in DayZ, because it's a lot more realistic.
From what I've been told, and I don't know if I'm getting my games mixed up, but apparently if you were to type in stop camping, the game would change the word camping to strategizing. So you tell someone stop camping and they'll say stop strategizing.
I don't know.
That's what I've been told. Maybe I'm thinking of a different Army game, but Drew Scanlon from Giant Bomb was talking about that. He's a pretty big Arma and simulation nut. So
yeah,
that sounds pretty funny though. give someone shit about camping, and the game's like, nuh-uh, this ain't cheap.
Yeah. Okay, number 1 on my list. Let's see. Where the hell is it? Okay. I can't find my other one. I just lost 2 damn pieces of paper. Oh, fucking hell. It was gonna be, DCS, Digital Combat Simulator. It's a flying game, kind of like, very reminiscent of, Fight Simulator, except, the level of authenticity in DCS is let's just say the learning curve in DCS is like 100 times more.
Way worse than Battlefield, huh?
Oh yeah, it takes you about 5 hours to learn how to fly that plane.
Yay!
You know? So.
And then you go sign up for the Air Force, and you pass immediately.
Exactly. You're an automatic pilot if you know how to fly in DCS. But no, it's a flying, it's a military flying simulator, and the level of authenticity is kind of what drives me, or kind of attracts me to it, just because I like simulators. And there's a lot of simulators out there on the market that are shit. Like farming simulator, train simulator. I never got into those games. I don't want to say it's like watching grass grow, but it's just something about like farming, simulating a farming. It just doesn't. You know,
I think the only good thing about Train Simulator is that they added in zombies at Halloween. So you're driving your train around and there's zombies wandering around outside
really?
the train. Yeah, I never played it, but I saw someone posted it on Giant Bomb, I think. So that was pretty funny. There's pumpkins all over too. So
yeah,
game would be better if it was like that all the time.
I guess they could put some zombies in DCS, but I don't know if that would. I don't know how that would.
Flying zombies.
Flying zombies, I guess, or flying
zombie
plane
planes.
Zombies.
Yeah.
An A-10 zombie. I don't know.
The plane crashes and it comes back as a zombie.
Exactly. There's more to it. There's you can pay to download DLCs for the game, and there's a UHQ, a helicopter that you can download. There's a A-10C, and then there's a P-51 Mustang. All of them with their very extensive learning curves. So
you didn't just put flubber on that Mustang, make it fly.
Yeah, you put magic dust and make it fly.
That stupid movie. Sorry, I just thought of flying cars when you said Mustang. And then
That's
Robin
what you got
Williams.
Gary Spot for. So.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, DCS. I like the game. It's really one of those games that kind of like sticks out as far as just the learning curve, because I like games with a high learning curve.
I do in theory, but then ADHD says no, you don't. I said, oh, okay. Guess I'll go play Rogue Legacy.
ADHD and DCS world don't mix in very well.
No. I think Battlefield's about as far as I go, and even that game I'm pretty bad at. So, so that's your list, huh?
Yeah, it's my list. I was going to talk more about DCS, but I couldn't find the piece of paper that I wrote all the details on. Yeah, that's my top 4 list. It's supposed to be top 5, but
and then a bunch of them aren't from 2013.
Very unorganized person here. So.
Shocking. I'm shocked.
You had more, right? Is that right?
Yeah, I did. Number 4 for me, and people are going to be angry, but I don't care. It's Gears of War Judgment. This game came out, I think, just 18 months after Gears of War 3, and everyone, including myself, was like, why are you making another Gears of War game? We are still playing Horde mode in Gears of War 3. Not buying. And then I started thinking about Game of the Year, and I started thinking about Gears of War Judgment, and said, it's been a long time, and I'm pretty sick of Gears of War 3. I really enjoyed this game. Even though the textures are starting to look a little dated, the game still looks fucking great. The God rays coming through the dust, when you fire a grenade, I think the greatest moment in the game is just how well the jibs work. When you shoot a grenade next to a dude and he comes toppling over in 10 pieces, it is just amazing. Yeah, the combat in the game never gets old, to the point where I think I might have to replay it, and I think it has the best Gears campaign out of all of them. Maybe not from a story perspective, but from a level design perspective. They have these skulls on the wall, and you go up and you click on it. It's a Gears symbol. And you click on it, and it's like a challenge, so enemies will have long shots, or there will be fog of war you have to deal with. So it kind of causes you to play Gears in a different way than you normally would.
Yeah.
So it kept it interesting, and it was really good. I actually don't understand why everyone hated it so much, except for the fact that it came out too soon. And actually the story was okay. You know, it's kind of a typical military story where it's like, you disobeyed orders, now you're being court-martialed. The cutscenes would exist of he'd be at trial, and they would each they jumped from character to character, so each character would tell their story, and as they would begin their story, it would go into gameplay. So I think the way that they told the story was interesting from a game design perspective. It's just a little, if you've seen war movies, you know, you've kind of experienced this kind of thing before.
Yeah.
But hey, it's a video game. The fact that it was an okay story is a miracle, by any standards. But yeah, that game's great.
Cool.
Moving on to number 3 is Metro Last Light.
You've been playing that game a lot.
Oh, it's so fucking good.
Every time I go on Steam, you're always in-game playing that game.
Yeah, I had hoped to beat it before I made this list, but I like enough of it to say it has to be number 3 on my list. The graphics in the game, even though I'm not playing on completely ultra settings, are really good. The lighting and the texture, and it just looks fantastic. And that game will fuck up any computer. If you crank it up all the way, you will be dealing with some frame rate. But it looks great. The combat is great. Because the first game, one of the first gripes everyone had was the shooting wasn't very good. But I've been playing this game through with a controller, and for the most part, it controls pretty damn well. Much better than most shooters with controllers.
Yeah.
The only time it gets a little difficult is when you're shooting long range with iron sights. It can get a little tricky there, but you can't work miracles with controllers.
So there's a multiplayer facet to it, I assume.
There may be.
There may be.
I didn't. I didn't. If there's multiplayer, I didn't touch it.
Actually, I don't think there is. I'm looking at the Steam website for details, and it only lists single player.
Maybe that's it then. I ignore multiplayer so often with games because most of the time it's just we have to make this bullet point on our back of the box, and the multiplayer is usually bad. Unless they really focus on it, like Halo or Call of Duty or something. But yeah, it's like it's kind of like a fictional version of Chernobyl where there's like monsters all over and everyone's Russian.
Oh yeah, well it takes place in Moscow, right?
I think so. I don't think they ever say Moscow once, but might as well be. Because everything's blown up, because it's like the nuclear apocalypse, so whatever their city they're basing it in doesn't really matter anymore, because everything's dead. I think one of my only gripes of the game are the acting is not great, and a lot of people will say, well, it's realistic, but the gas mask thing kind of gets old. Like, I died a few times because I was running for filters and I couldn't find one.
Yeah.
So, that can get fucking annoying. And being shorted on ammo is realistic in the apocalypse, but when I gotta kill a boss with a fucking knife, they gotta find an alternative to that. Which I do feel proud of myself killing them with a knife, though.
Now, is it like an open-ended game where you can go anywhere that you want, or is it more linear along the storyline?
It's No, it's not like Fallout 3 or anything like that. It's kind of an open game, but you're still kind of being funneled. So you still have to move in the direction the compass is pointing. But they give you some big open areas you can run around and scavenge in, so it's kind of like Fallout 3 like that. And you're checking for ammo and checking bodies for filters and first aid kits and ammo and all that stuff and grenades, all that. So it's a post-apocalypse game. And
cool.
I love post-apocalypse stuff.
Well, in that case, do you like Wasteland, or are you gonna get Wasteland 2?
Isn't that like an RTS?
It's an RTS, but it's based off of it's kind of like what Fallout 3 was supposed to be if it was an RTS game.
Yeah, so those old Fallout games.
Well, not RTS game, it's more like a RPG, top side view kind of thing.
If it's an action RPG, I might, but the moment turn-based stuff shows up, I go, oh.
I don't think it's turn-based at all. I don't think that's probably the wrong word that I was using to describe the game.
Well, no, you never really implied, but I kind of did with my brain.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's right now on Steam. It's like $59, which I would not pay because I think it's in alpha state right now.
Yeah, this early access alpha shit is getting out of control. That was actually one of, I think it won for Giant Bomb's worst trend of 2013, or at least it was nominated. It was Steam Greenlight, because at first it sounds like a great idea, and then everything's early access and greenlighting to the point where you're buying games that aren't finished, and by the time they are finished, you don't care. So
that's what's happening to me right now with this game called The Dead Linger.
I think I looked at that.
It's another zombie survival apocalypse type game. It's along the lines of a sandbox simulation, except you're surviving the zombie apocalypse and you're using anything that you can to find cover, build your own house, or just basically survive. You can farm in it, kind of like in some of the other zombie survival games. But it's taken so long for them to develop anything significant. Like, in my opinion, significant. What I mean significant is just it looks the same, build after build. It's still an alpha stage, and I understand that, but they've been creating this game for the past 2 years. My patience is running a little low.
Yeah, you start to lose interest.
Yeah.
Is it better than what's that other zombie game? Not DayZ. It came out like 6 months ago or something like that.
There's another one called 7
State
Days
of
Left
Decay?
to Die. State of Decay. It's
because State of Decay looks good. People say it's really good.
I haven't played State of Decay. I have one of my friends who actually plays that game. It's a single player game, no more.
Yeah, which I think was a failure.
Yeah, I would have gotten in the game. I would have gotten the game if it had multiplayer.
I had the same experience.
From what I hear, the game was pretty good. There's a lot of dynamics in it. It lets you, manage a crew of people. You can upgrade your base, I guess, and go out and scavenge for supplies. But it's nothing like Dead Linger is nothing like that. It's more basic. It looks very. I don't want to offend the developers, but it looks very
low budget.
Low budget, yeah. That's what I want to see.
Well, I mean, how much does the game cost?
I got it for $20.
Okay, that goes with the territory.
Yeah. Low budget. The graphics are not that good. The animations are still not good. There's not a lot of weapons in the game, and the sounds are not that great for the weapons. But I mean, I still have hope for it. I think right now it's still at 30% completion for the entire game. It's an alpha stage. It's 30% complete, so I still have a lot of hope for it. That's the reason I got it, because a lot of people were saying, this game has a lot of potential, and it has the potential to be like one of the greatest zombie games ever to be built. So I still have hope for it, but right now I'm losing patience with it.
Yeah, that's kind of the story of a lot of those greenlight or early access games.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of post-apocalypse games, I got another one for number 2.
What is it?
The Last of Us.
Oh, shit. That's not for PC, is it?
No, it's not, and I wish it was. That is Sony. I think Sony owns that game in some way.
Okay, and you have it?
I have a PS3. Yeah,
Oh, awesome.
I dusted it off my PS3 for GTA 5 and The Last of Us this year. And now it's getting dusty again. I love The Last of Us. The music and the atmosphere and the tone is just, it's really melancholy in a way that I can really get on board with.
Yeah.
That game, the opening of that game is better than almost any game I've ever seen. In fact, it could be the best opening for a game. I was already, like, tearing up within a half an hour of that game starting. The only problem with I think the only gripe I have about the game is the pacing. Like I said, it starts out really strong, and then you kind of go for about, I don't know, maybe 4 hours until it really starts to ramp up again.
Yeah.
So it's kind of paced a little poorly, but I've been listening to the soundtrack in my car and when I'm working and stuff, and it's just, it makes the game 10 times better.
So I've seen previews to the game on YouTube, and the game kind of reminds me of, or the fluidity of the game, kind of reminds me of what's the game called? Dead Island. Is that kind of a comparable?
I mean, Dead Island does have crafting. I think that's kind of where the resemblances end. Dead Island is in first person, and it's kind of in a. They're not totally similar. I mean, you are kind of moving from point A to point B, but The Last of Us is kind of a more linear. You're moving forward, and Dead Island, it's kind of an open world game to a certain degree. They'll lock you into a certain area, and then you can kind of expand. The thing about Dead Island was it got more linear as the game progressed, which is the opposite of what it should be. But yeah, no, I don't think I could compare it to Dead Island. This game's a lot more narrative driven.
Okay. I saw some parts of the game where you're jumping from like a ledge to like other ledges, and it kind of has like a parkour kind of feel to it,
Well, it's made by Naughty Dog, who also made Uncharted. So
okay.
that whole climbing stuff is still kind of there, but it's not a staple of the game. I think the climbing is there to highlight how blown out, destroyed the world is. So you have to like climb up on these broken, buildings and stuff to get up the stuff. You have to boost up. It's the only game where you're boosting up a computer character, or if you're playing co-op, you're boosting up the other character. It's the only time that feels satisfying, because every other game is like, oh fuck, I can't get up to that area. Guess what? I'm gonna have to boost you up, and you'll pull down the ladder. Army of Two happened 10 years ago. No one cares. But no, this game, it actually reminds you that this fucking world is destroyed, and the only way you're gonna get through it is by teaming up. You're always short on ammo. I mean, but not. You actually about halfway through the game, you really start stocking up your shit, so you're not totally desperate like I was at some parts in Metro.
Yeah. How are the zombies? Are they tough, or are they kind of like easy? Fast, slow?
They are really hard in the beginning of the game because you have nothing. So it's like you have a few knives if you're lucky. The knives in the game are a one-use thing, but you kind of find them all over as you go. And you can craft them.
Okay.
So they're pretty hard. If you get swarmed by zombies, you're kind of fucked. So you really have to... Three or four enemies, whether they be humans or zombies in The Last of Us, is a problem. It's kind of the opposite of BioShock Infinite, which is just fucking spam you with as many enemies as you can, and the encounters don't mean shit.
Yeah.
In this game, the encounters are each interesting, and the combat is... I really like the combat. Some people hate it, but I like that taking down one dude is a problem.
Okay.
So, and to answer your question, the zombies can be tough, but it's much less of a problem if you're geared up real well, if you have ammo, and you got to think if you're going to pull that trigger because it's loud, and enemies find out you're there.
Okay, cool. I'll have to come over and play that damn game because for a little bit I thought you were talking about another game, but now that I know that you're talking about The Last of Us.
Did I say The Last of Us?
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
I was thinking of another zombie game for some reason for the first 2 minutes of this thing right here. But the game seems really fucking cool, and I'd really love to play that game. I don't have a PS3. I don't have a PS3. So.
I think it's hard to recommend without just telling you to buy a PS4, but I doubt that thing's backwards compatible anyway. But point is, there's some pretty damn compelling PS3 prices out there now that they're obsolete. So, I mean, I think you can get a PS3. I think they were selling PS3 with The Last of Us for like $200 a while back. So, to go back to the game, Ellen Page's acting is amazing. All the acting in the game is fantastic, and the facial stuff in the game when someone's really coming down on you with something with a knife or whatever, and you're gritting your teeth, and it really adds strong emotion to the game and keeps everything tense as hell. The textures can be pretty fucking bad at some points, but when they're really good, it's like, wow, PS3 still looks okay. And the particle effects, man, that cell processor in the PS3, that is what that thing is meant for. They have, there's what they call spores in the game, so if there's a body or something, you'll go down, it's sitting, like there's one part, there's a body sitting in the water, and you kind of go down underground, and then you see all the fucking spores floating around, and eventually you figure out, hey, there's a body at the end of this tunnel, that's why this whole area is floating with this green. Yeah. But it just looks amazing. It's just, like I said, when it looks bad, it looks pretty bad. It's an old console, and I really, really hope they make it on PS4, because if they put that on PS4, holy shit.
I heard the PS4 has, like, same processing capacity as 16 PS3s.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked. I think they ditched that cell technology, though, because they touted that. It's a very, not to sound racist, but it's a very Japanese thing to do, to say, we have this awesome hardware, and then every Westerner says, we don't want to make games for that. So for years, PS3 development was kind of hampered by their complicated, system, which is why a lot of Xbox games looked better for years, even though the PS3 was technically capable of more.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, I'm going to close out The Last of Us. That game is fucking great. I can't recommend it enough. The ending, okay, I guess I won't close it out. The ending in that game, I won't say what happens, but it makes me really angry.
Does it?
I kind of hate the ending. Not because you'll have to play it, but there's a decision that happens at the end of that game where I say, maybe I would have handled that differently. But, yeah, anyway. But, moving on to number 1, and you probably won't be surprised, and neither will anybody that's heard my last 4 podcasts, or whatever we've done.
Is it roguelikes?
Maybe! Yes, it is.
Okay.
I
knew it. I fucking knew it.
This game was really good. I still haven't beaten it yet. I've only beaten 2 of the 4 bosses. It's just, I don't know. I think it's any game that can. I like addicting games. Games that capitalize on my desire to keep working on skill tree, and then I find this new loot, and it's like, oh my god! This game, when I got that vampire armor with Lich King, which the thing about Lich King is every time you kill an enemy, your health bar grows.
Yeah.
So, that, I was like uber powerful. and just had the best run I had in forever. The moments when that game is great, it's pretty damn great. The only problem is you sometimes end up doing dry runs because you just got all this money, but you still don't have enough to buy anything.
Yeah.
And then death will take most of it as you enter the castle. So that's kind of a bummer. But yeah, just the fact that the castle is always randomly generated and the music is really good.
I like the fact that there's not a lot of access to like health bars or anything that could give you like extra health during the game. First 15 minutes I was playing that game, I died very quick because I couldn't find anything to like replenish my health. So.
Yeah, you will find health. I think as you level up more and you get further in the castle, you'll start to notice that health is scattered, but it's not everywhere.
Yeah.
And you can actually, there's a thing on the skill tree where your health, where health drops will actually give you more health, so you can level that 5 times. Yeah, it's just the thing about Rogue Legacy. It's not a lot to say about it because it's such a simple game, but it takes roguelikes and makes them more easy to get into for the average gamer.
Yeah. I like the game. I'm just I still haven't gotten into it. I should probably play it a little bit more so I can become addicted to it like everybody else has. But yeah.
I like skill trees, so I think that may be partly why I like it.
You like skill trees?
Skill trees. Yes, skill trees. I'm not good at doing the gay voice, which is actually something I'm proud of. No offense.
It's okay. It's okay to be gay. It's okay.
Yeah, I don't want all the gay people that happen to be listening to our podcast to be like, hey, what's she saying about gay people? So, no, I'm not one of those. So yeah, Rogue Legacy is my number one. At this point in the show, I like to leave some space open for honorable mentions, games that didn't quite make the list but were really good.
XCOM Enemy Unknown for me.
Mm-hmm.
That game is just amazing. We mentioned it earlier, but it's a turn-based strategy game, and the level of dynamics that you can strategize and defeat your opponents, especially in multiplayer, is really, 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 really cool.
Was that? I mean, at this point, I don't really care because it's a little late. But was that a 2013 game or a 2012 game? I can't remember.
I think it was a 2011 game.
Oh, okay.
Game, so it's still on my
okay.
honorable mention list. So
okay.
I'm a little late on games, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm not as late as you are, but I'm pretty late too, considering. And if we hadn't postponed this podcast for almost a month, I probably wouldn't have played Metro. So. I'd like to recommend a couple games, but maybe I'll do one, and then if you have another, we'll bounce back to you. Path of Exile is really a really awesome game. I think it's former Torchlight people or former Diablo people. Not a big difference. But yeah, it's a Diablo-style game with an enormous skill tree. You will never see a skill tree bigger than this game. It is fucking out of control. And it makes it really addicting. The only complaint I have about that game is at some point myself and everybody I knew eventually kind of got dungeon crawler fatigue and we stopped playing.
Oh, I see.
But it's completely free. It's completely free. They don't have any bullshit in there where it's like, hey, you've been playing for an hour, why don't you kick us $1, there's no paywall that you're bumping into. The game doesn't get stupid hard, and then it says, hey, if you give us some money, you might actually be able to beat this level. None of that. I think they do have pets you can buy, but I don't think it really has a serious impact on the game. So it's a fucking fantastic dungeon crawler, and a lot of people have said, hey, if you haven't gotten Diablo 3 yet, maybe you should just play Rogue Legacy. Yeah, play that too. Play Path of Exile, because it's arguably better.
Cool.
Do you have...
You said it was free to play?
Completely free. And it doesn't feel like shit like a lot of these free-to-play games.
Yeah, that's the problem with a lot of free-to-play games. They're just... Either they're limited to a certain extent where you have to spend money in order to actually enjoy the game, or they're just shit.
Sometimes both.
Yep. Well, right now, I'm downloading Star Trek Online, and so far I've seen pretty good reviews for it on Steam comments, so looking forward to doing that and playing and customizing my character. So, I'm a big Star Trek fan, so yeah.
You know what the best Star Trek game is? Mass Effect.
Mass Effect? Okay.
It kind of is like, hey, how can we make Star Trek without copyright infringement? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that is going to be my next project, because I actually own all the Mass Effect games, and I kind of played Mass Effect 1 maybe for about 4 hours in the past, and never really, I kind of fell off of it, and now that I'm doing a podcast and kind of feel incentivized to actually play games, I might play that trilogy this year sometime. My only thing I hate is that from what I played of Mass Effect 1, it's just, there's so much filler. There's so much walking around, and just nothing happening from point A to point B. Apparently they really fixed that in 2, so I'm kind of just going to slog through 1 until I get to 2.
I've actually never played Mass Effect, and you said it kind of reminds me of Star Trek.
I am shocked. I figured that'd be right up your alley. If you like story-driven games, you'll really like it. Just don't expect good shooting, because, man, that shooting in Mass Effect 1 really sucks. I'm just going to be honest. But that's not, it's an RPG first, and a shooter second. So there's a lot of shit you can upgrade in the game, and that's its strong point. The acting and the characters are all, like, Hollywood movie level. It's a fantastic sci-fi experience from what I've seen. So.
Cool.
What else did I... So do you have anything else to say about whatever you were saying? I forgot what you were saying.
Not really. I mean, if I'm gonna recommend any other games, I guess if I look at my Steam list, No More Room in Hell. Is
that good? Because I looked at that and
it's kind of like Killing Floor, except the creatures are not like random mutants or anything like that. They're just zombies. They're the classical George Romero zombies in that they're slow. They come at you very slow.
Yeah.
But don't let that fool you. The zombies in this game are freaking tough. If they get a hold of you, they're gonna probably 90% chance they're gonna bite you, and you really have low health. You don't have a lot of health to spare in this game. So teamwork is vital in this game. And
is that a mod or a full game?
It's a full game. It's free to play. And I would say it's just as good as Killing Floor.
Because I was looking at that and then I was still buried, so I kind of tabled it.
It has a lot of horror aspects to it, so a lot of aspects of the game will kind of scare the hell out of you. I know when I play this one level, it's called the cabin. You start off in an attic. And it's really dark, and you really don't want to go downstairs because you're like, oh shit, I can hear the zombies, I don't really want to go downstairs, and I'm claustrophobic, and I don't want to go downstairs.
Yeah. So. I like slower games where the combat seems to have more gravity to it, if you know what I mean. Like, each shot really feels like it's powerful.
Yeah, and that's exactly what this game kind of makes it feel. Like in Killing Floor, that's kind of the image that you get, but in this game, it's every shot is essential because you don't have that much ammo. Mm-hmm. Unlike in Left 4 Dead, where you just get hundreds of rounds, and there's an infinite amount of rounds that you can get because there's a stockpile on a certain place in the level.
Yeah, it's rare to run out of ammo in that game.
Yeah. If a zombie catches you in this game, you can't get away. Unlike in Left 4 Dead, where if a zombie grabs you, you can slowly, the rate of how you get away is kind of slow down. But
you can
in this game,
melee
they
him.
won't let you go. Yeah, you have to push him back and hopefully get away. Hopefully, there's not another zombie just waiting to grab you. But one of the cool things about this game is that if one of your team members dies from a zombie, that team member will come back to life as a zombie. So, yeah, it's pretty cool.
That sounds cool. I should download that.
Yeah, you definitely should. It's if you like Killing Floor, you'll definitely like this game because it has the same dynamics of the weapon where every shot feels very powerful.
And there is a serious lack of good zombie games. Like, there's a shitload of zombie games, but most of them I don't care for.
Yeah.
If we're talking about other games that came out this year that I liked, Shadow Warrior was really good. I never did beat it, but it's got I think the sword, your katana, is like your most useful weapon in the game, and you can cut off limbs, and it's kind of like it's done by Flying Wild Hog, who did their former Painkiller guys.
Yeah.
So they also did Hard Reset, which is kind of like a robot. It's like what's that Harrison Ford space movie? Damn it.
Star Wars?
No,
that's not.
I should have seen that coming. Oh, that's funny though. No, it was the one. It's not really in space, but it's in the future. Anyway,
Okay.
Whatever. It's a futuristic robot shooting game, and there's always parts and explosions going all over. Anyway, same developer. This game, it's like very traditional Japanese, but with monsters and shit. And it's just you go into a room and there are fucking enemies everywhere, a lot like Serious Sam, and you gotta take them out. There's a lot of special moves you can do, which are all really cool. Like there's one you kind of thrust your sword forward and it kind of puts a shockwave out, a swirling shockwave. Another one you slash your sword from left to right and it kind of sends out. They have a series of different shockwaves that each do different things. The only gripe I have about that is it kind of feels like those old wrestling games where you have to push a series of buttons to get them to go, and in first person when you're getting swarmed, it's kind of...
Or just fucking press any buttons that you can.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, well, they tell you how to do it. I mean, so you're not guessing, but it's kind of irritating when you hammer out like a 4-button combo waiting, and the attack doesn't go, and you're like, fuck, and you're dying. You can also hold your hand out in front of you like a shield, kind of to deflect some of the damage. You can... Anyway, it's really cool. The acting and the story is actually very good. There's actually a Portland reference on there, which I thought was pretty funny.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, that game is really good. There were other games I played this year that I frankly don't remember. I don't know that Necrovision game was a piece of shit. I don't know if that was this year, but what a piece of garbage.
I'm sure the developers would think highly of that.
Yeah, that's fine. They can kiss my ass. It's a horrible piece of garbage. Oh, you know what else? You know what? Let's just move on from recommendations and go to anti-recommendations, which is something I just made up right now. Games that you played in 2013 that were fucking awful. They have more impact if everyone says they're good. Which is leading me to a game I talked about last podcast.
And what is that?
BioShock Infinite. This game fucking sucks. I don't care what people say. It's horrible. Why was everyone saying this game was so good? I'm waving my arms.
Pretty good reviews on Metacritic.
Well, those reviews can kiss my ass because they're wrong. It's so bad. I'm gonna kind of repeat some of what I said last time, so people are just gonna have to bear with me. But the thing that made BioShock 1 good was there wasn't a ton of enemies in every room, but each enemy felt like a real fight, and it was the combat was engaging. This game, it's just let's just spam enemies, and at a certain point, I just stopped using guns that fired bullets, and I just said, how can I put out as much splash damage as I can? Because strategy doesn't mean anything anymore. I just need to hit a big enough area, because there's all these dudes coming at me all at once. The end of that game, they just fucking bombard you with enemies, and you have to defend a certain point. And it's just, you're defending a point and you're also trying to stop these Zeppelins from coming in, these big blimp things. You have to deal with these blimps as well, so you have two different things to worry about. And it just is really frustrating. The story is okay, but the fact that most of the story is done through just dialogue, not in cutscenes, and sometimes over a loudspeaker because there's someone else somewhere talking to you like that. And there's these stupid, like in Doom 3, those audio recordings you pick up off the ground.
Yeah.
They're everywhere, and they give them to you like in a moment where there's also in-game dialogue, and it's your option to play them or not. But I kind of wanted to listen to them, and they give them to you in the worst points of the game, so I'd pick up another one before I even got to the last one, and eventually I just gave up on them because they just put down so many. There was a point where I actually liked the game in the middle because there wasn't in the beginning because there wasn't so many enemies, and I could actually fight them in a strategic way. And then about halfway through, it's just like out of control, spamming. Not fun, like Left 4 Dead's kind of spam.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah,
I don't know. I've never played BioShock, but there are a lot of people who like that game, so you're probably gonna be at odds with all of them.
I might, but that's fine. I'm not a journalist, but not afraid to say if I don't like a game or not. BioShock 1's really good, though. 2 is not bad, but it's just kind of too much of the same. I recommend BioShock 1 any day of the week. It was a landmark game for this last generation. So, yeah.
I personally don't have any anti-recommendations. Oh yeah, actually I do. Rogue Legacy. Don't play that.
How dare you!
No, I'm good.
Coming over to your house.
Parappa the Rapper.
That was a 2013 game for sure, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Fuck, I can't remember when I last played that game.
I can't remember the last time I heard anyone utter those words.
8 years old when I was 8 years old. Parappa. I got that game just because I thought it was going to be cool. Because I liked hip-hop back then.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Parappa the Rapper, cool. And I got bored of it after like 5 minutes of playing.
I think, I could be wrong, but I think Jeff Gerstmann of Giant Bomb is a big Parappa the Rapper fan, but he's really big into music games, so I think he writes some of his own music.
Well, I never got into that game, so that's not 2013, but...
Good to know. Don't play Parappa the Rapper. Kids, remember that.
That's it for me.
All right. Well, that might do it for this installment of the 2013 or random years. Went off the rails from the 2013, but whatever. That's gonna do it for this one, and I may have other people come on and give me their 2013 top 10, and I'll kind of interject and tell them they're wrong or if they're right.
Yep.
I hope to do more, but we'll have to see. A lot of people that said, "Oh yeah, sure," also didn't say anything else to me ever again. So I don't understand. Yeah, maybe they're all dying. I don't know, but
maybe find some people. Just comment on some people's YouTube. People who don't get a lot of views, maybe they'll do it. I don't know.
That's kind of what I've been doing. I've been kind of posting on Facebook pages and stuff for, nerdy video game Facebook pages saying, "Hey, do you like See, here's the thing. There's a lot of people that like podcasting but don't actually want to be in front of any sort of podium, even if it's a digital, like radio style podium. And a lot of people that chicken out.
Oh, you mean like kind of like a live commentary, but except. So what you mean is like they do their own podcast, but they kind of like modify what they say every now and then to make it sound good.
No. There's people that like to listen to podcasts but have no interest in. I think they're too stage shy. And then a lot of people say they really want to, and then at the last minute back out because I don't know, whatever. But yeah, it'd be cool to get people on here that aren't flakes. I mean, I have so many people that emailed me from Craigslist who were like, yeah, sure! And then it was like, what do you want to do it? When do you want to do it? When do you want to do it? And it's just nothing. Like, okay.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you'll find a lot of flakes on Craigslist.
Yeah, well, you'll find a lot of flakes everywhere. Yeah, but you are right. Craigslist is like a breeding ground for flakes.
Fucking Flake Central there. Capital flakiness.
I guess Call of Duty Ghosts was kind of a disappointment. I mean, can't say I didn't see that coming, but it's just kind of Call of Duty. You know, it's like, it's not dog shit, but...
Another rehash?
Well, yeah, I mean, in my opinion, Treyarch is doing more inventive stuff than Infinity Ward is, and this is about as rehashed as Call of Duty has gotten.
Yeah.
But we didn't actually say anything about Battlefield 4. That game is actually pretty good. Now that my PC isn't on fire anymore.
At first, I heard a lot of reviews saying that at first when it came out, there was a lot of bugs to it.
It still has a lot of bugs.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not unplayable, but it will crash on occasion. I got it for nothing, so it was like $25 opposed to...
Shit.
Yeah, really. So I said, okay, because I had no interest, and then it was on sale. I was like, okay. They've added in Team Deathmatch, which is great, because people like me that don't care for the giant open, exploration part of Battlefield, smaller maps with teams, it's a lot more interesting to me, that CQB stuff. Yeah, I actually enjoy it a lot more than 3.
Huh.
So... Which is a shock, because I didn't really like 3 at all.
I stopped at 3. I didn't want to get 4, just because I was kind of done with the franchise.
I want Bad Company 3. Bad Company 2 is easily my favorite Battlefield game, because they really nail that mid-range combat.
Yeah, I like the storyline in that game, too.
Yeah, the single player is really good. Like, it's kind of unbearably hard, but... Yeah, I just like the level design in that game, like all the different flank options you have. It's just a fantastically designed game. I think Epic, the company that made Gears, could definitely learn a lesson from that.
I really miss the artillery strike from Battlefield 1, Bad Company.
Yeah, I think they had that in 2 as well.
Did they?
Well, they had something like that. I could drop. I use it to kill tanks and take out buildings. Assholes are sniping me.
Yeah, I can see like how people abuse it. They just like stay back and just like call in an artillery strike on one building and just blow the hell out of it out of the way.
I think you could only do it like once every few minutes or something. I think it had to recharge or something.
Yeah. But I mean, when you have like 4 people who have that same ability,
it
just turns into a shit fest,
I don't remember it being that big of a deal in Bad Company 2. I think that game was pretty well balanced.
Yeah.
I sucked at Bad Company 2, and then I picked up an LMG, and I was like, holy shit, this is my moment. Now I was actually cleaning up, which is not common for me. I'm usually bad at multiplayer shooters because I don't stick with them for very long.
I like choosing the LMG and fucking annoying people just by just consistently shooting the gun until it's empty. I don't even burst fire. I just shoot it until it's fucking empty and
it's the best feeling. Good. Yeah, it's like, it's a totally euphoric feeling where you're just dumping. I mean, and that's the point of support, really. I mean, that's kind of what I like to do. I don't even care if I'm hitting them. If I'm just putting bullets down range, I'm hoping that the other people on my team are going to get the picture and start, using my suppressing fire. Sometimes it works, and sometimes people are stupid. I
just like the sound of the LMG.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You can see all the rounds flying everywhere. It's fucking awesome.
All the brass hitting the ground.
Yep.
Oh. So, yeah. I think that's going to do it for this week's podcast. Send in emails, guys. What was it? Video. I actually have to look at my phone to remember this email because it's been so long since we recorded the podcast. videogabe0083@gmail.com. Send in your emails. You can find me on YouTube. I believe my YouTube name is Gabe0083. But if I'm wrong, just look up Video Gabecast and you'll find all of our old podcasts uploaded there. I do prefer people continue to download from iTunes because I need those views more than YouTube. YouTube's kind of it doesn't really bother me if I don't get views on there. I am on Twitter as well, and I never use it. So, at Gabe0083 on Twitter is where you can find me. So yeah, those are use those links and share with your friends, because this podcast is doing okay for being brand new, but the more views I get, the closer I get to actually getting some fucking sponsors and having a hope in life of doing something that I enjoy instead of working, doing work. So
do work.
Yep. American dream. So at any rate, I guess I'll sign off for this week.
We will see you guys soon.
Indeed. This is
ENSIGNPA's out.
Yes. Gabe out. Titmouse out. I don't know what fucking nicknames. I gave up on that. Okay. Yeah.